Hey, welcome. This is Eli Skinner with Simplify Real Estate. I'm excited to be working with you on this buyer's crash course. It's like we just got out of class. Mom calls. She wants to sell her house. What do we do? Or your best friend calls. What do we do? We don't have no idea. You just got out of the course. Maybe you passed your test. Maybe you came from another organization and you haven't been doing much business. I want to break this down for you really simply. And the first thing we're going to do is talk about a buyer presentation and the basic order of operations. I want you to know with confidence how to communicate to a potential buyer what it's going to look like, what the process is going to be, and how you can be a benefit to them as they walk this journey. So let me just jump right in, okay? We're trying to make these a little bit short. So I talk fast. Welcome to the club. I always talk fast. Get used to it, all right? Here we go. So buyer's presentation. This is what we're going to call this. Here's how I do it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about, this is also going to answer the question about what is the order of operations in a deal. Now, it's not going to cover everything. It's going to be the high-flying stuff because it's your buyer's presentation. You do not want to be talking about what happens when an appraisal doesn't come in right. Okay? You may not even know what I'm talking about right now, so you really resonate with that buyer, right? You have no clue what I just said. The appraisal did not come in right. The appraisal came in low. The appraisal came in high. The appraisal came in late. There's a lot of crazy things that can happen out there, but we're not going to cover those here. We're going to cover those at later times. We're going to do the crash course, the quick, high-flying version of how to get started quick because your friend just called, said, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Can we have coffee? And you say, absolutely, I'd love to, because our number one thing is we don't think clients are a means to an end. So we are ready to have coffee. We'll buy it, and we're going to bless you whether or not you end up buying a house. You already know that agents are not pawns to be used, right? We talked about that in the previous video. That's my commitment to you. Obviously, real estate's not a get-rich-quick scheme. So we're going to be working hard this whole time, okay? Here we go. So buyer presentation. There is a way to describe the transaction of purchasing a home from a buyer's perspective that is super simple. You ready? We've all done it. We've all tried to cross a creek, and we've hopped stone to stone to stone to stone to stone, and then we're on the other side, right? The whole goal, nobody's really that scared. Let me tell you about that. So you walk up to the creek, you're like, dang, I don't want to get wet. What's the worst thing that can happen here? I fall in the water. I mean, you may step in it. You may actually land in it like completely like America's Funniest Home Video style, like kaplut, right? In the water, soaking wet the rest of the day. But that's the worst thing that can happen, okay? So you're telling your buyer, hey, buying a home is like crossing a creek. You're going to have to jump stone to stone to stone to stone, and then we're going to get across. There's 5 stones you got to jump on. And here's the deal. We focus on the first stone. If you're looking at the second stone where you're trying to land on the first one, you end up in the creek, okay? It ends up a problem. Not every time. There's a decent chance you end up wet, right? But the great news, buyer, is that that's like the worst that can happen. Nobody's going to jail for landing in the creek. Nobody's going to die because they landed in 3 inches of water. Well, I guess most of the time they're not going to, okay? So here's the deal. It's very simple, and it's very not scary. But there are some risks involved, and you may get wet if we don't do this correctly. Even if we do this correctly, there's a chance you might get wet. But that's part of the process. Anything good in life, including buying a house, comes with some risk involved and some difficulty and some chances for problems to arise. But here they are. You ready? The 5 stones that we're going to jump on to get across. So over here on this bank, we've got the first, that we're on the bank of, living in an apartment or not owning a home or owning a current home, right? This is where we're at. Maybe we're in our mom's basement. Maybe we are in an apartment. Maybe we're in a current home. And maybe we are in our car. I have no idea where you're currently living, but that's where we're at. We're on this bank. And our goal is to get over here to this bank. And this bank is closing on your house and walking in, okay? This is owning the next home. So here are the 5 stones that you've got to jump on, Mr. Buyer, that are going to help you get from one bank to the next, hopefully, without getting wet, okay? Remember, simple, enjoyable real estate. That is an aspirational statement. That's our vision for the future, and you're a part of it. And agent, you're a part of it as well. Here we go. First stone, pre-approval. You got to get pre-approved for the loan. And you know what? It's really, really, really hard to convince somebody to sell you their house if you don't have any money. If you don't got it in the bank, then you better get it from a bank or from a lending institution. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to buy the house. So why in the world would we do stone 2, 3, 4, or 5 if you don't have any money lined up? So let's get the money lined up. That's called pre-approval. What that is you're going to walk into a lending institution, talk to your team leader if you're on a team. If you're an independent agent, you might have a lender that you like to use. I know my team's got lenders that we like to use. Talk to your team lead if you're on a team though, like I said, and figure out what lender we're going to use. But we're going to talk to a lender. We're going to give them our bank statements. We're going to give them our taxes. We're going to give them they're going to pull our credit. We're going to give our pay stubs. It's just going to be a lot of things. Some of the things are to look at our income. Some of it looks at job history. Some of it's going to be just identity pieces, okay? A lot of stuff you're going to give them for a full pre-approval. This is going to get us to where we are confident that unless the house is bad that we're trying to buy, something majorly wrong there, that they are going to give us the money for a house within a certain price range, okay? They're going to figure out where the down payments are coming from, because maybe you don't have any money for down payments, Mr. Buyer. Maybe you're going to have to get a down payment assistance program, but that's going to require a certain credit score and a certain this and a certain that. That's why we've got to get this figured out right here. Okay? Pre-approval. That's the first step. And again, I'm telling you guys a little bit more information than I would tell a buyer, but I want you to jump on the first stone called pre-approval, and I'm going to get you set up for that. We're going to find you money with a lender. That's really all you're telling them. The second stone, once you're pre-approved, then we can move to the second stone. If you're not pre-approved, there is absolutely no point in wasting the time, energy, and emotion trying to find a house that you like. Because the house that you like may be $300,000, Mr. Buyer, but you're only approved for $200,000. Where are you coming up with the extra $100,000? You're not. And guess what? After you look at $300,000 houses, $200,000 houses don't look quite as appealing, okay? So we want to guard their emotions. Step one, pre-approval. Stone one, pre-approval. Jump on that stone. Super easy. It could be painful because they don't get pre-approved, but the reality is to get that stone done, and we can skip all the other ones if they don't get qualified. If they do, boom, move on to second stone. Let's find you a house. This is the fun part. This is generally the easy part. This is the part that everybody likes to do first, but they shouldn't, right? We're going to be all over the internet. They're going to be self-searching, and you're going to create a search for them in Matrix. We're going to find the house that you're looking for. Second one, once we've found the one you want to bank an offer on, we're going to make a strategic offer. This is where you can rely on your team. If you've got a team, if you're on a team better, you are going to rely on your team lead. You're going to communicate how you work together to strategize the best possible offer to get you a winning offer. Okay, there are ways to do that. And here at Simplify, we will teach you specific strategies, a 4 to 5 step strategy on winning in multiple offer situations. We can help you with that. Okay, but the second step, find the house that you want. Guess what the third step is? Get the deal, win the bid, you secure the transaction, get an accepted purchase agreement. That's the third stone, okay? That is the third big stone. So we've done pre-approval, focus solely on that. Then we've done find the house, and we found it, yay! Then we're going over here, we're gonna make the offer. We do not just sling offers. Simplify Real Estate agents, we do not just sling offers. There's so much more to a purchase agreement than just filling in the blanks, okay? I'm going to teach you that today, or over this series. We're going to do a lot of just filling in the blanks because this is a crash course. But we are going to get you to where you understand the purchase agreement. You're going to be smarter than 98% of the agents out there who have never even read the contracts that they're having their clients sign. We're not that way. Stone 3, you're jumping on it. This is win the bid. This one's a bit tricky, right? This is one where people end up in the water sometimes. But the good news is your shoes are wet, but you keep going. You go back to stone 2 if you don't win it. Go back to stone 2. Find another house, and then you move back to stone 3, okay? It's real simple. Stone 4, inspections. Then the house is won. We're on our way to purchasing it, and you're going to have an inspection on the house by a professional who's going to make a perfectly good house. Remember this phrase. A good inspector makes a perfectly good house feel like it's falling over. It is your worst enemy as a seller. It is your best friend as a buyer, okay? That's what an inspector is going to do. So it's going to kind of be freaky. This stone, the fourth one, it is covered in moss. And I know you've all stepped over stone, and you look at that one, and it might be a bit wobbly, and it might be covered in moss, and you're going, dang, if I'm going down, this is where I'm going down, right? And this is 100% true. Inspections are where emotionally you're going to be taxed the most, and it's where most deals fall apart, is that inspection. So you've done all this work, and rock 4, dadgummit, rock 4, that's a sketchy one. So get prepared emotionally for that. Because part of our job, agents, is to talk to the buyer and make sure they don't get as much emotional whiplash as most other agencies allow them to experience, okay? Stone 4 is the inspection. Again, don't go into a ton of details with them on inspection. We're going to get it inspected. We're going to figure out if there's anything we need to have the sellers do to correct any major defects. Okay? Inspections. The fifth stone, fifth and final hurdle. You can go with hurdles, you can go with stones. Fifth stone, the last one. The bank is right there almost. Fifth stone's an appraisal. This is where the bank, your lending institution, Mr. Buyer, sends virtually an anonymous lottery, pokes a button, out of the sky drops an appraiser, and he goes and decides for the bank's benefit only. It is solely for the bank's benefit. The bank's benefit only what that house is worth according to him. He's trained. It's very mathematical. There is some subjectivity to it, but he's going to decide what that house is worth, and the bank's going to put a lot of weight in that. That's going to determine a lot of things. But basically, we're going to have an appraisal, see what the bank thinks it's worth, because they're trying to guard their asset, because it is an asset to them that offsets the loan amount that they give to you. Once we clear that appraisal, the appraisal comes back. It's either high, which we won't know about as a buyer. We will know about if it's high. That's great. If it's low, then we have to have some conversations. If it's right on the money, perfect. We're still moving on, okay? If it's high, we move on. Middle of the road, right on the money, we move on. If it's low, we have to have some conversations with the listing side of the deal. But again, not too much conversation for you and your buyer in any of this, right? Stone 1, we got to get pre-approved. Stone 2, we got to find the house you want to buy. Stone 3, we got to win the bid. Stone 4, we got to get it inspected and deal with whatever pops up. Stone 5, I think I might have messed up, Stone 4. Stone 5, you got to get an appraisal and find out what the bank thinks this house is worth. And if we all agree, we're gold. And guess what? You got a house. There is nothing, there is virtually nothing, I'll say, that stands in the way of owning that house once you've been through those 5 stones. It's a simple way to break it down for your buyer when you're talking about what is coming next, okay? That's it. That's what I want you to communicate. This is a 15-minute long conversation, and it's friendly, and it's slow, and you're asking if they have any questions. And if they ask a hard question, don't answer it. If they ask a very in-the-weeds question, get away from it, because you do not need to distract them off of the very first stone. First conversation, breakhouse coffee, in my opinion. Sit down, say, here's the deal. We got bank to bank. We're trying to move from where you're currently at to home ownership over here. First step, pre-approval. Tell them we're going to get you connected to a lending institution that can find you some money. At least figure out if you can be approved. Step 2, we're going to find the house of your dreams. Step 3, we're going to work to strategically make an offer that crushes everybody else. Step 4, we're going to have it inspected to make sure you're not buying a lemon, and we're going to deal with whatever pops up there. Step 5, we're going to have it appraised so the bank and we and the sellers all agree-ish on what it's worth, and then you're boom onto the next bank, and you are owning that home, and we're off to closing. This process can be anywhere from, I'll say low side, 30 days. That's pre-approval, offer, find the house, offered, inspection, appraisal, close. That's 30 days. It's about as quick as you're going to do it in most cases. Could be much longer, but that's the deal. It all depends on your client. Anyway, welcome to the crash course. This is a crash course. I'm talking fast. Write it down. Re-listen to this mess. You can do this. I'm excited to work with you, but that is the crash course, the order of operations and how a buyer presentation should go, and it's very, very short, focusing on bank to bank, 5 different rocks, and then you're owning your house. It makes it sound very easy, and it is if we do our jobs right. All right? Talk to you later. See you next time.